Hi there, everyone. I hope you're okay. Welcome to another episode of Reality Check Leadership Podcast. Today, my guest is Shannon Graybill, and let's talk about leadership in real life. Hi, Shannon. Welcome to the Reality Check Leadership Podcast. It's a pleasure
Hi,
to have you
Luis.
here.
Thank you for having me. Thank
No
you.
problem. Shannon, the first thing I would like to ask you is the same question I do and I ask to all my guests, which is, who is Shannon? And the second one is, what do you value more in your life?
Oh,
Yeah.
man. Okay.
Tell us a bit about you.
Okay. So, who is Shannon at this present moment? I am, I'm American, living in Lisbon for the last 7 years, and just got my permanent residency. And as of in the last 4 years, I opened camp called Wagon that we have grown and I've been managing. Well, I guess that was 5 years ago. So for 4 years, we've been operating and managing, which is a school that teaches adults how to code and build web apps. And so that has brought a lot of challenges and growth experiences. And yeah, I'm happy to share more about that. But yeah,
Great.
that's been my last 4 years.
Thanks. And why Portugal?
Oh, well, that was for personal reasons that brought me here
Okay.
7 years ago, and ended up falling in love with the country, and then finding this opportunity with Wagon, which is the franchise, and yeah, was able to make it here, make it work financially here, which can be difficult sometimes. I think in Portugal, especially as a foreigner looking to work locally. So
glad to hear that you fall in love with the country. That's really good to hear.
Everyone's falling in love with Portugal now. It's the only thing I've ever been a trendsetter on.
Thanks. So, and the second question is, what do you value most in your life? What's the things that really drive you?
I would say relationships for sure.
Okay.
Love and connection, and I think growth. So learning every day and evolving. I think that gives me a lot of hope to not think, this current mindset is how it will always be.
Yep. Thanks for sharing, Shannon. So let's now focus on sharing examples about leadership that can be positive or that can be negative. So let's start with the poor leadership example or the negative example. What do you have to share with us today?
Yeah, so I mean, this actually was a struggle for me because I know I've experienced poor leadership as, with managers and also as a manager. I can be hyper self-critical. And so, of course, I thought a lot about all the mistakes I've made, which some of them are too painful to share. They're still really fresh. And others are just embarrassing. And they seem childish, but I think, it's the one it's clearest to me right now that I've seen. And I'll share that. And others, I'll just have to. I'm still learning. So it's too fresh. The wound is still there to share the mistakes that I've made just recently. But yeah, I think one, and this is my experience as a manager. So at Wagon, we have a small team of full-time and part-time employees, like 2 or 3 people, and then we have a big teaching team of freelancers that's around 25 to 30, depending. Now it's increasing, and so it's a lot of moving parts. And I'm just giving context, and then on top of that, personally, I am very insecure professionally. I think it's like the one area of my life that I can be really triggered, and I am quick to want to create a facade about who I am professionally. And anyway, dates back to grade school, I'm sure, childhood traumas. But yeah, really insecure professionally. I'm realizing the more the older I get. And I mean, this was just like a year ago or a year and a half ago. I there's a few things that I was doing. So one, I really don't like being micromanaged when I was working in companies or for other managers. And so I really wanted to create a culture where people felt free to come and go. And I didn't really want a 9 to 5, even though actually running a boot camp, there is more of a schedule, but for those that weren't having to work in the schedule. And so yeah, but then again, I said this, and I said, everyone manage yourself. Like, you don't need to be checking in with me. We're not clocking in and clocking out. Just get your work done. And there was one day, I think I might have answered some emails at home, but it was a late start to the day, and I really wanted to go to the gym. And I was actually with my boyfriend, and I said, but I left my gym bag at the office, and I said, okay, I'm just going to duck in really quickly to the office and hope no one sees me so I can just go to the gym. And he said, why are you running into your office hiding to get your gym bag so no one sees you? Why don't you let them know you're going to the gym? And I said, oh, but maybe that sets a bad example, that I'm going to the gym at 11 on a Tuesday and not, in the office or in front of my computer having FaceTime. And just saying that out loud really I realized what I was doing. And this happened a few times in other situations where I might have had an appointment that was a personal appointment in the middle of the day, but I would make it seem like it was something work related or I wasn't as transparent with what I was doing with my time. And it wasn't because I was worried, I wanted privacy. It was more because I wanted to make a facade like, oh, I'm busy with work and everyone else should be too. It was all based on insecurity. And I feel really, I still feel ashamed that I'm saying this out loud, like trying to seem like I'm doing something that I'm not. And so, yeah, I would say that is my poor leadership example.
What do you think your team and the people at the office, what were you afraid of them thinking? That you were not just doing what you're supposed to be doing?
Yeah, I think it was like they might think I'm a bad professional. Or I'm slacking on my stuff or something, or maybe it would give them permission to slack. So I think it was like me being worried what they think of me, but also being worried that I'm like not trusting them to be able to make decisions for themselves.
Yeah, definitely. A matter of trust, a matter of transparency.
Yeah.
And of course, insecurity that will not...
a lot of insecurity.
At the end, they knew, right? At the end, they saw you going out with a gym bag. So.
Oh yeah, for sure they knew. I mean, but it was like, I didn't want to face it with, it's really silly and it just sounds childish. Like I'm blushing a little bit thinking about it.
But it's great that you have, that you have understood, that you did this self-awareness analysis, and that you today know, well, that was somehow stupid, and that didn't set the right level of example, because at the end they knew, and you were creating some kind of distancing the relationship. At the end, if we are all transparent, things become a little bit more clear.
Totally. And it also made them feel like they didn't have permission to do whatever they wanted to do, which isn't the culture that, we were wanting to create. So for sure.
Thanks for sharing, Shannon. That was a really cool example. And thank you once again for it's fresh. It's 1-year-old example. So people might relate to it again, but glad you've acknowledged that and you're moving on. Cool, thank you. So let's now go to the other side. Let's go to the side where you will share with us something that you believe it's a good leadership example.
Okay, so this is like in interviews when someone's like, what's your biggest weakness? And they're like, oh, perfectionism or working too hard. Because the reason I feel like I can share that example is because I did make progress in that area. Don't ask me to share other examples where I haven't made progress. I am not ready for that yet. But so my positive example, which is with the same story, is okay. So after speaking, my boyfriend kind of calling out my behavior and knowing the kind of company that we wanted to create, and well, I tried to be more transparent and more vulnerable. I'm a really big fan of Brené
Mm-hmm.
Brown, and that whole experience really made me understand what if anyone's read any of Brené Brown's or listened to her TED Talk or read any of her books, the power of vulnerability and what that
Right.
means practically. And so I started to say like, hey, I'm going to go to the gym no matter what time of day it was, or today's not a great day for me. I need a mental health day. I'm going to take off early. I think we all have those days. And I just thought
Right.
I should start being really transparent about that when I'm just not feeling up for it. Like I'm just not in the right mindset. I also, and this is when it really, this is the, where I saw like it happened pretty fast. So when I was saying I had appointments, I was actually, I go and see a therapist every week. I see a psychologist.
Mm-hmm.
And rather than telling my colleagues that I had an appointment, I said, actually, I'm going to go, I have my therapy, so I can't meet you at that time. I'm seeing my psychologist. And it was like not even a month after that one of my colleagues started seeing a psychologist, and was very was also I think by me having boundaries and saying this is what I'm doing, and saying no, she was also able to start saying no and creating space for herself. And that I saw immediately, and I just realized how important it is to talk about these things and to
Mm-hmm.
and to share. I mean, there's levels of vulnerability, and I'm not saying you have to share everything, but I do think like, saying I'm taking care of myself, I'm going to go do this. You lead by example, and it gives other people permission to do the same. So, yeah.
It was amazing to hear, really. And I truly believe in that, the showing a bit of our vulnerability makes us humans, because that's what we are, right? We are humans, and we suffer, we spend a big part of our time is, swallowing problems that we don't want anyone else to know about them. And at the end, that vulnerability makes us, each one of us makes us a little bit more special. I have a question to ask you, which is about, somehow you've touched it, which is, by doing that by example, your team started to understand they could also do it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think what type of impact that has overall in the team?
Oh man, I honestly think it helped with burnout. Like,
Okay.
the fact that I started to set boundaries and be more honest with everyone made it so that I wasn't like faking it and feeling like I can say no more of the time, or say yes to things that I actually did want to be doing. And there was like a year and a half ago, I was really feeling burnout with work. And I think some of the team was too. It's intense what we do. It's an amazing job, but it's a lot of contact with people, and well, now virtually, but and so I think that I do think it helped in a way. With burnout, I feel like people felt like they could set clear boundaries and take care of themselves in a different way. It wasn't like you have to go to 9 to 5 and I think I want to believe that it changed that in a different way. The more, and this is the more human that we can be at work, it's like, it's less tiring,
And
to
the
be putting
reality
on
is
a
that
front.
our life is becoming, it's crazy, right? The business life, the day-to-day, it's something really crazy. And I know there are a lot of companies right now that focus on the well-being of the employee and all of that. But at the end, if the leader doesn't set that example, nothing will work, because
Nothing will work.
you can say, now we have yoga classes. But then on the yoga classes, you will never, ever see the leader there, because he will be at the office, or he will be sending emails during the yoga classes. That's really the difference between leading by example or simply
and I don't
having
go
a
to
big impact. Having a big impact on the team.
And you just made me realize I never go to the yoga classes at our office. No, I'm thinking, I really don't want to, but actually maybe sometimes you just should, to set an example, even if it's not how you want to be spending your time.
Yeah, it depends. Depends. I remember clearly going to things just to set examples. Although sometimes I really didn't feel in the mood of doing it. But by doing it, like you said, you give the permission, or you show the world that it's okay to do that. It's okay to listen to music. It's okay to go to Facebook. It's okay to do whatever you want to do. Just as long as you understand that you are there for a reason. At the end, the reason is to work, so that we can all then get our salaries and have a better life. Great. Thanks for sharing that, Shannon. Really cool, and love the topic. We don't have much more time, but we do have time for our last question, which is the question about what would be your advice as someone that work on this day-to-day crazy business, stressful life. What would be your advice to a leader, or to an existing leader, or to a potential new leader?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's what I said already. I think the superpower that I'm finding in my leadership is being human, and really trying not to fake it, which I've done for most of my career, or tried to at least. And so I think it's just being human, and saying when you don't feel like it, saying when you don't get it, saying, when, you want to go do something else. I don't know. I just think, being human. And I think it really creates more alignment, which,
I think being human is really cool. And I think I'm going to use it, because being human, it's the best advice we can have. Although people should not misinterpret being human by being able to do whatever we want, whenever we want, how we want it. Just, we are there for a reason, once again, to work,
for sure.
And everything we do impacts our colleagues, our leaders, our families, everything. So we really, let's be human, but continue with the drive that we have to do it with quality and responsibility.
Yeah. Well, I guess it may be to say being human and trust people around you, because I think I thought, if we're all too human, then maybe work won't get done. And no, it still gets done. It's just much less exhausting,
Cool.
So,
Shannon, it has been a pleasure to talk with you. Really, I wish you all the best for you, for your future, for your family, for everything. And we'll definitely keep in touch. And thanks for being part of this
thank you
challenge.
for having me on.
Okay. Thank you, Shannon.
Cheers.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.